Fire, a shy girl's visit turns into a nightmare when she recognizes the doctor. But he's not what he seems. Face screaming in fear, broken heart. Lila thought her embarrassing hospital visit couldn't get worse, until she looked into her doctor's eyes. And realized he was the boy who vanished from her past. But something's terribly wrong. The monitors are glitching. The lights are dying. And a voice on the intercom is whispering her name. But no one else can hear it. Drop of blood, high voltage. Fearful face, watch till the end. Or she might find you next. Hey everyone! Waving hand before we jump into this chilling story. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the channel. Rocket, this isn't just about scares and suspense. Every tale we tell carries a powerful lesson about courage, love, or facing our deepest fears. Light bulb, let's grow together. Hit that bell so you never miss an inspiring story. Now, let's begin. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a sterile glow over the crowded emergency room. Lila clutched the thin paper gown tighter around her body, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. The cold examination table beneath her sent a shiver up her spine. She had never imagined her first visit to the ER would be for something so intimate. The rustling of the curtain made her jump. A tall figure stepped in, his white coat crisp, his presence commanding. Lila kept her eyes down, focusing on the scuffed tiles. "Good evening, Miss Hayes," the doctor said. His voice smooth and warm. Her breath hitched. Something about that voice felt familiar. She dared a glance up and froze. Piercing green eyes met hers, framed by dark lashes. A strong jawline, slightly stubbled. And a faint scar above his brow that sent a jolt of recognition through her. Could not be him. But it was Dr. Ethan Caldwell. The boy who had vanished from her high school 10 years ago. The boy she had secretly loved. Now a man. Doctor. And, if the rumors were true, a millionaire. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. His gaze flickered with something unreadable as he pulled on gloves. "Let's take a look," he said, his tone professional. But his fingers hesitated just above her skin. The air between them crackled with tension. Then, the monitor beside them let out a sharp, erratic beep. Lila's pulse spiked. Ethan's head snapped toward the screen. His expression darkening. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And the way his grip tightened on her wrist told her this was not part of the exam. The door burst open. A nurse rushed in, her face pale. "Doctor, we have a problem." Lila's stomach dropped. Ethan's eyes locked onto hers, filled with an urgency that made her blood run cold. "Lila," he whispered. Her name on his lips sounded like a warning. Then the lights flickered. A shadow passed over the window, and the world went black. The sudden darkness swallowed the room, leaving only the frantic beeping of the monitor. Lila's breath came in shallow gasps as the cold metal of the table pressed into her back. Ethan's grip on her wrist tightened. "Stay still," he ordered, his voice low and urgent. A crash echoed from the hallway. Glass shattering, a gurney toppling over. Someone screamed. Lila's pulse roared in her ears. The nurse's voice trembled. "Doctor, the backup generator. It's not kicking in." Ethan didn't respond. Instead, his fingers slid down to intertwine with hers. Silent promise. Then a new sound. A step. Low. Deliberate. Moving closer. Lila's skin prickled. The curtain around them rustled, though there was no breeze. A shadow loomed at the edge of the fabric. Ethan moved in front of her, shielding her body with his own. "Who's there?" he demanded. No answer. Only the creak of the curtain being pulled back, inch by inch. A sliver of dim emergency light spilled in. And then, hand, pale, too pale, fingers curling around the fabric. Lila's throat closed up. Ethan's breath hitched. The curtain yanked open, revealing a figure in a tattered hospital gown. Hollow eyes, smile too wide, and a voice that didn't sound human. "Found you." Lila's scream lodged in her chest. Ethan shoved her behind him just as the figure lunged. The figure crashed into Ethan, sending them both sprawling onto the floor. Lila scrambled back, her paper gown tearing as she pressed herself against the wall. The emergency lights flickered once, twice, then buzzed back to life, casting jagged shadows across the room. Ethan wrestled with the intruder, his muscles straining as he pinned the gaunt man down. The stranger's limbs twisted at unnatural angles, his breath rattling like dry leaves. "Lila, run!" Ethan gritted out. But she couldn't move. Her legs had turned to stone. The man beneath Ethan suddenly went still. Too still. Then his head snapped toward Lila. His pupils dilated, swallowing the irises whole. A wet, guttural laugh bubbled from his throat. "You don't remember me," he whispered. Lila's stomach clenched. That voice. She did know it. From somewhere dark. Somewhere buried. Ethan's face drained of color. Daniel. The name hit her like a slap. Daniel Harlow. The quiet boy from high school who disappeared the same night Ethan left town. The boy who used to watch her from the back of the classroom. The boy who left a single rose on her locker every Monday. Until one day he didn't. Daniel's grin stretched wider, splitting his chapped lips. "You do remember." Ethan recoiled. "Daniel, what happened to you?" A shudder racked Daniel's body. His fingers clawed at his own hospital gown, tearing it open to reveal. Lila gagged. His chest was a mess of jagged scars, pulsing with something beneath the skin. Something black. Something moving. Daniel's voice dropped to a whisper. "You left me there, Ethan. You left me in the dark. And she found me." The lights surged, then exploded in a rain of sparks. In the sudden darkness, Daniel's body twitched. A wet, tearing sound filled the room. And then, silence. Lila's breath burned in her lungs. "Ethan," she whispered. No answer. Only the slow, steady drip of something hitting the floor. A hand closed around her ankle. It's cold, bone-thin, and pulling. Lila kicked wildly, her bare heel connecting with something brittle, like snapping twigs. A hiss of pain echoed in the dark. The grip on her ankle loosened. She rolled off the table, hitting the floor hard. Glass bit into her palms as she crawled blindly toward where she'd last seen Ethan. Her fingers brushed fabric. A lab coat. "Ethan!" she gasped, clutching his sleeve. But the body slumped against the wall didn't move. A metallic scent filled the air. Blood. Too much blood. A wheezing laugh came from the shadows. Daniel's voice, but wrong, garbled, like something was speaking through him. "You can't save him, Lila. Just like you couldn't save me." Her hands trembled as she felt for Ethan's pulse. They're faint but there. Then a new sound cut through the darkness. A wet, slithering noise. Like ropes of flesh dragging across the floor. The emergency lights flickered again, illuminating the nightmare in flashes. Daniel's body contorted on the ceiling. His limbs bending backward. His ribs cracking open like a cage. And inside, something uncoiling. Black veins pulsed under his skin, spreading like ink in water. Lila's scream caught in her throat as the thing inside Daniel turned its head toward her. No eyes. Just a gaping maw of needle teeth. It spoke in Daniel's voice. "She wants you too." The lights died completely. The last thing Lila felt was cold breath on her neck. And a whisper. "Run." Lila didn't think, she moved. Her body surged forward in the darkness, hands outstretched, crashing through equipment and overturning trays of instruments. Somewhere behind her she heard it, the wet slap of that thing dropping from the ceiling, the rasp of its breath, the hungry clicking of its teeth. Her fingers found a door handle. She wrenched it open just as something grabbed a fistful of her hair. She screamed, yanking free, strands tearing from her scalp. Then she was in the hallway, stumbling past gurneys and abandoned four poles. The hospital had become a nightmare. Nurses and patients alike stood frozen in the corridors, their heads tilted at identical unnatural angles. Their eyes, black, all black, no whites, no pupils. Just endless darkness staring at her as she ran. A hand grabbed her arm. Lila nearly sobbed before realizing it was warm. Human. A young intern, his face slick with sweat. "This way," he hissed, pulling her toward a stairwell. Behind them, the lights died one by one, swallowed by an advancing shadow. The intern shoved open the stairwell door and froze. Lila crashed into his back. Then she saw why he'd stopped. The stairs were gone. Only a yawning black pit remained. The railing twisted into spirals like melted wax. From the depths below came a sound. Heartbeat. But not human. Something vast. Something hungry. The intern turned to her, his eyes wide with terror. "It's her," he whispered. "She's waking up." Then the darkness surged upward and swallowed him whole. Lila backpedaled as the darkness lurched toward her, tendrils of shadow snapping like whips. The intern's scream was cut off mid-breath. 1 second he was there, the next, gone. She turned and ran, her bare feet slapping against the linoleum as the hallway stretched unnaturally before her. Doctors' names on plaques blurred as she passed. The exit signs flickered like dying fireflies. Then, a hand clamped over her mouth and yanked her sideways into a supply closet. Lila thrashed until she heard a familiar voice whisper, "Quiet." Ethan. Alive. Bleeding from a gash on his temple, but alive. His green eyes burned with intensity in the sliver of light from under the door. "They're everywhere," he breathed. "The entire hospital is infected." Lila trembled. "What is that thing? What did it mean, she's waking up?" Ethan's jaw tightened. A thud against the door made them both jump. Then another. But, like something testing the strength of the wood. Ethan pulled her deeper into the closet, behind shelves of gauze and saline bags. 10 years ago, he whispered urgently, Daniel and I found something buried under the old school. Something alive in the dark. A long scratch dragged down the door. Lila's breath hitched. Ethan continued, "It got Daniel. I barely escaped. And now." The doorknob twisted. "It's followed me back." The lock clicked open. The door creaked inward. Moonlight from a high window revealed the silhouette standing there. Not Daniel. Not anymore. Just a puppet of skin and bone, hollowed out and filled with something else. Its mouth unhinged like a snake's. And from the darkness within came Daniel's voice one last time. "You should have stayed gone, Ethan." Then the thing lunged. Right as the hospital intercom crackled to life with a voice that froze Lila's blood. Lila. A woman's voice. Singing. The closet walls pulsed like a living thing as the voice continued. Come out, wherever you are." Ethan's face went deathly pale. Because Lila realized. No one else could hear it but them. Lila's bones vibrated with that unnatural voice, the sing-song words slithering into her ears like liquid. Ethan's fingers dug into her arm. "Don't listen," he breathed. "It's how she gets inside." The Daniel thing cocked its head, its jaw hanging slack as black ooze dripped onto the floor. The intercom screeched, "Lila, come home." The supply closet walls breathed, bulging inward as shadows thickened like clotting blood. Ethan grabbed a metal 4-pole and swung with desperate strength. The impact cracked the Daniel thing's skull sideways with a sickening crunch. It didn't fall, just laughed with that broken jaw, the sound bubbling through spilled ink-dark fluid. Lila's vision swam as the voice in the intercom morphed. Now it was her mother's voice. "Baby, why are you hiding from me?" Tears burned down Lila's cheeks. She knew it wasn't real. But God, she wanted it to be. Ethan smashed the pole into the overhead light, plunging them into darkness. "The window," he hissed. They scrambled onto shelves as the Daniel thing's fingers grazed Lila's ankle. She kicked backward, feeling ribs snap under her heel. Cold night air hit her face as Ethan wrenched the high window open. The singing voice became a screech. "Don't you love me anymore?" Glass shattered as the walls convulsed, spewing tendrils of black sludge. Ethan boosted Lila up, her torn gown snagging on the sill as she tumbled out into empty air. They were 3 stories up. Her stomach lurched as she fell and landed in a shuddering heap on a second-floor awning. Ethan landed beside her, his wound reopening as he grabbed her hand. "Keep moving." The hospital exterior was wrong now. Bricks pulsing like flesh, windows weeping black tears, and from every speaker, her voice wailing. "You can't escape me, Lila. I tasted your fear in Daniel's memories." Ethan dragged her toward a fire escape as the awning melted beneath them. Just as the Daniel thing's mangled body crashed through the window above, its limbs stretching like taffy as it reached for them. And that's when Lila saw it. At the hospital's highest window, a silhouette with too many arms. Watching, waiting, smiling. Ethan followed her gaze and choked. "Oh God! She's awake." The fire escape rattled as the entire building shuddered and began to change shape. The hospital walls rippled like disturbed water, bricks dissolving into fleshy strands that reached for them. Lila's bare feet slipped on the fire escape as it warped, metal twisting into something resembling vertebrae. Above them, the Daniel thing's stretched limbs snapped like rubber bands, its body falling apart in glopping chunks, only to be absorbed by the hungry building. Ethan hauled her upward as the fire escape melted beneath them. "Roof!" he gasped. Lila's lungs burned as they climbed, the structure groaning like a living beast beneath them. A guttural laugh echoed through the night. Not from the intercom, not from the thing in the window, but from inside their heads. Lila's vision doubled as the voice purred. "Clever little mice. But where will you run when the whole world is my flesh?" The rooftop door was padlocked. Ethan slammed his shoulder against it with a snarl. Once, twice. The third time it burst open. Into darkness. Not the roof. A long hallway stretched before them, lined with heart monitors flashing flat lines. The same hallway they'd just escaped. Impossible. Behind them, the fire escape collapsed into a tangle of sinew. The door at the hallway's end creaked open. Shadow moved. Tall. Too many joints. Lila's breath came in ragged sobs. "We're dead." Ethan spun her to face him, his bloodied hands framing her face. "Listen," he panted. "She's not just in the hospital. She's in us. In our memories." The hallway lights pulsed like a slowing heartbeat. The thing at the end took a step. Then another. Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. "She's using what we fear against us. So we have to stop fearing." Lila choked out a hysterical laugh. "How?" Ethan's thumb brushed her cheek. "Remember what Daniel said. You left me in the dark." A crack as the thing's limbs scraped the ceiling. Closer. Closer. Ethan's eyes locked onto hers. "She thrives in darkness. But memories. Memories are light." Lila understood. As the thing lunged, she squeezed her eyes shut and reached for the brightest memory she had. Sunlight through classroom windows. Ethan smiling at her from across the hall. The way her heart had fluttered when he'd first said her name. A scream tore through the hallway. But not hers. Hers. The thing's. Lila's eyes flew open. The hallway was burning. Not with fire, with light. Golden and warm, spreading from her and Ethan's clasped hands. The creature writhed, its too many limbs blackening like paper in a flame. The hospital walls blistered, peeling away to reveal stars, real ones, cold and clean and endless. Ethan's grip tightened. "Don't let go," he breathed. The thing that was Daniel shrieked as the light reached it. "You can't kill me. I'm in every shadow. Every." Then it was gone. Silence. Single steady beep. Lila blinked. They stood in a normal hospital room. Sunrise through real windows. A heart monitor chirping beside a sleeping patient. Ethan swayed, his face ashen. "Did we?" Lila touched the bandage on her arm. The real reason she'd come to the ER. No ink black veins. No stretched limbs. Just normal. A nurse walked past the open door, humming. Ethan exhaled shakily. But Lila knew. Somewhere in the dark between seconds, something had tasted them. And hunger never truly dies. She interlaced her fingers with Ethan's as the sunrise painted them both gold. For now it was enough. For now they were safe. But outside the window, a single shadow twitched. Just for a moment. Then it was gone. The hospital discharge papers felt heavy in Lila's hands. Ethan stood beside her. His doctor's coat buttoned neatly over fresh stitches. Neither of them spoke about what happened. Not when the nurses asked why they looked so shaken. Not when the police came to take their statements about the power outage. And especially not when they passed room 307, where the whiteboard still bore Daniel Harlow's name. Deceased. 11:47 p.m. The exact moment the lights had come back on. Outside, the morning air was crisp, ordinary. Taxi idled at the curb. Lila hesitated. "You felt it too," she whispered. "It wasn't just a hallucination." Ethan's fingers brushed hers. "No, it wasn't." He opened his palm. A single black thread coiled there, squirming faintly before dissolving in the sunlight. Somewhere deep beneath the city, in the dark where no pipes ran and no tunnels reached, something stirred. Not awake, not yet, but dreaming. Of two bright sparks who had burned it. Of names whispered in the void. Lila, Ethan, and most of all, of light. The morning sun spilled through the hospital windows, painting the sterile halls in gold. Lila stood at the exit, her discharge papers clutched in trembling fingers. The antiseptic smell of the ER still clung to her skin, but the nightmare felt distant now, like a fever dream fading with dawn. Ethan walked beside her. His doctor's coat crisp and professional again, though the shadows under his eyes betrayed the truth. They paused at the sliding glass doors. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. The silence between them was thick with unspoken words. What was that thing? Is it really over? Will it come back? A breeze ruffled Lila's hair as they stepped outside. The world was impossibly normal. Cars honked. A pigeon pecked at a discarded muffin. Somewhere a child laughed. Ethan exhaled long and slow, as if releasing a breath he'd been holding for years. "It's gone," he murmured. Lila wanted to believe him. She did believe him. But as she turned to say goodbye, her gaze caught on the hospital's reflection in the glass doors. For a heartbeat, the building warped. Windows stretching like hungry mouths, bricks pulsing like a slow, sleeping breath. Then it was just a hospital again. Ethan's hand found hers. Warm, solid, real. "Hey," he said softly. "Look at me." She did. His green eyes were steady, fierce with something like a promise. "We beat it once," he said. "If it comes back, we'll beat it again." Lila squeezed his fingers. Somewhere in the dark between seconds something twitched. But here in the light, here they were safe.